Hello, everybody. My name is Jörg Glückmann, and this webcast is exclusively for those who registered to our Journey to the Cloud Roadshow, but who couldn't participate. We were running this roadshow starting in Singapore in July, then covering Australia, Europe, and the last stop was in Las Vegas in October. Since the show is through now, we want to give you a condensed version of the roadshow content so that even if you were not able to participate, that you see what we would have presented to you live, and we hope that you get some value out of that. So with that, let's get started with a marketing slide. You see statements like that all over the place. Yeah, the digital transformation is disrupting business operations like never before. However, very often, if you ask yourself, what is the digital transformation, you don't really get very valid answers. Very often, you ask yourself, didn't we talk about digital transformation already in the year 95, 96, when ERP systems were implemented or CRM systems? And I must say, yes, we did. So the big question is, what changed? What is new today with digital transformation? And to kind of carve that out, I'd like to start with a little case study. Some of you might remember a company called Blockbusters. Blockbusters was a video rental company, and they were following a physical landlord business model, which means they were owning VHS tapes, and you could rent them in a store. For Blockbuster, the convenience factor was really, really important, which means no customer wanted to drive more than 30 minutes to rent a movie. So they had to run many physical stores throughout the US, which obviously is pushing the infrastructure costs way up. When the switch from the VHS tape to the CD started, it actually paved the way for Netflix to become successful. What not many people know is that Netflix started off as a postal mailing service for CDs, not with streaming back in the days. Sending VHS tapes would have been very expensive, so the margin would have been rather low. But with the CD, Netflix was able to just put it in a standard envelope and send you the movie you wanted to see. The nice thing with that was that you did not have to drive to a store. The content you wanted to get was always available, so things were not sold out. You had no late fee. Yeah, with Blockbuster, if you brought a movie back a day later, you had to pay a late fee. With Netflix, not. You paid a flat fee, and you could watch as many movies as possible. At the same time, Netflix, based on that operating model, was capable of lowering the infrastructure costs significantly because they had not the necessity to run physical stores. Another great innovation Netflix came up already back in the days was a recommendation engine. So you were logging onto a website, and based on your behavioral pattern, the movies you liked, Netflix was capable to suggest other content which you might like. So it was actually quite a personal shopping experience, although it was completely digitized. Compared to that, at Blockbuster, even though it was a business run by real people, they had no idea what kind of movies you like. They had no idea what to suggest. And very often, quite frankly, people working there just didn't care. Yeah, they just wanted to get your money and then leave the store. So by reinventing an existing business model based on digital technologies, such as a recommendation engine, such a data warehouse to see what are you interested in, to analyze trends, Netflix was able to push Blockbuster out of the market. And today, 1/3 of the complete internet traffic in the United States is based on Netflix. I will elaborate a bit more in a few slides on that example. I'll show you actually a few process innovations Netflix introduced. But before that, I'd like to give you one other example, which I believe is also very interesting. It's Polaroid. I'm sure many of you remember those Polaroid cameras where you could take a picture, then you had to shake it, and a few seconds later you saw the picture. Back in the days, very successful, made really good numbers. However, when digital photography was starting through, the Polaroid management actually saw that the market is changing. And they created something like a company in a company to develop a digital camera, and they did that. And they presented that result, that camera, 2 years later to the executive board of Polaroid, and the product was actually pretty good. However, the sales executive said, why should I accept a 30% margin on a digital camera while I'm getting 70% margin on a film for a Polaroid camera? So we need to stop that because it will kill our numbers. 5 years later, Polaroid went out of market, was completely bankrupt. The interesting fact is that each and every company on that slide was failing because they were scared of cannibalization. They were scared that new trends, new technologies, new customer behaviors would ruin their business. And if they would adopt to these new trends, they would even accelerate the destruction of their business. Successful companies behave different. Successful companies embrace cannibalization. A good example for that is Apple. If you see Apple Music, what that will do with the revenue of the iTunes Store, it will bring the revenue down in the midterm, but in the long term, it will go up again the more subscriptions they have on Apple Music. And if Apple would not have done that, companies like Spotify would have pushed them out of the market. So companies which are successful and which need or which want to stay successful need to see cannibalization as a chance, and they need to put focus on cannibalization. They need to say either we cannibalize our business or the competitors do it. So we rather do it, and we do it with full throttle because then in the long term it will be good for our business. So taking those examples in consideration, we see that digitization or technology is making the difference, is deciding if you are a successful business or not. And to underline that a bit, I'll give you 3 examples or 3 things where you can really see how digitalization is making that difference. Uber is the world's largest taxi company, but they don't own a single vehicle. They have no vehicle at all. Facebook is the world's most popular media channel, but they don't create any content. And Airbnb is the world's largest accommodation provider, and they don't own any real estate. All they do is providing a platform where customers interact, where customers exchange. They build that platform. And they will run existing companies, and they already did, out of market big time. And more companies like that are disrupting business models each and every day. So to come back to my first point, what's the difference today with digital transformation compared to the 90s? Well, the difference is it's not a company introducing an ERP or CRM system. It is a major shift in our society, which is touching each and everybody's life big time, big time. And that is the big difference. And if a company is not embracing this digital transformation, then it will have no chance to survive. It might sound a bit dramatic, but if you look at the examples I brought up, there are many, many more, and it really proves you either become digital or you're gonna die. What's interesting about those new companies which are disrupting new business models all over the place is that they are all built up on 4 principles. Those are the typical startup principles. Think big, start small, fail quickly, not constantly, and scale fast. So those are the principles each and every startup is built up on. The question is, should those principles not also be used for major corporations to transform? And I believe yes. I believe even if you are the market leader, even if you are a huge company, yeah, you need to follow them. If you want to innovate, you need to make sure that you create units, organizational units, which are defined by those patterns. Yeah, they need to think big, they need to think long term, what should be achieved. But they should start small, because if you start too big, if you have too many people involved, too much technology, yeah, it's hard to start, it's hard to become agile. So start from scratch. Yeah, really important. Don't take the old luggage with you or baggage. Really start from scratch. Failing quickly, really important. Failure is very important. However, it needs to be done fast before major harm is happening. And scale up fast. You need to be able to scale. So if you see that your customers are not just in Germany or in the UK or wherever, but also in Australia, you need to be able to address that market in days and not in months or even quarters. So this is the reason why all of those new disruptors are built on cloud technology, because cloud is supporting those principles. Cloud enables you to scale big time. And again, Netflix is a good example, because if Netflix would have built their own data centers in the US to be able to work with the traffic they get each and every day, there would have been no way to become successful, because the sheer infrastructure costs were so high that there were no chance to be profitable. But they are built on AWS, Amazon Web Services infrastructure, which means they get the capacities when they need it. And when they don't need it, because it's Monday, 10 a.m. maybe, they just don't pay for it. They don't use it. And that brings the scalability, which was the foundation for Netflix to become successful. Well, I'm working, as you know, for a company called Software AG. And we are a 40-year-old German software company with a big traditional software sales business. Obviously, we are also experienced digital transformation. We experience as well change, and we are working with cloud technologies together with our customers for a rather long time. So in the beginning, it was rather clear for us we don't want to build up our own data centers. Yeah, so that was a given fact. That's not our core competency. Yeah, so we said if we bring cloud products to the market, then they need to be built on an infrastructure which is highly scalable, which is really secure, and we need a good partner who supports us to transform into a cloud vendor. And we found that partner in Amazon Web Services. So we are working now for over 4 years with Amazon Web Services to launch new cloud product lines, and we are using their data centers in Europe, in the US, and in Asia Pacific. The nice thing about that cooperation with Amazon was that it was not just a technology cooperation, but Amazon also helped us to transform into a cloud company with best practices, with some experiences they made with other independent software vendors. And in the last years, we went through quite a transformation ourselves. So on that slide, I'd like to show you 4 major transformation projects which we went through to become a successful cloud vendor. First transformation was the financial transformation. Obviously, it's something different if you are built on perpetual license business or on a subscription license business. Yeah, so you will have different cash flow, different revenues, based on perpetual or subscription. So for us, it was really important that our shareholders understood that we are transforming into a cloud vendor. So best practice here is really communicate openly to your shareholders what your plans are, what the impact might be on your numbers, and even if you might go through a little drip, that in the mid and long term, it's worth it because you're going to dominate a certain area in cloud computing. Second transformation is the process transformation. So the big question is, what kind of processes do you need to build up a cloud business? Long-lasting or agile? Well, if you take in consideration that I just said start small, yeah, it kind of has the answer inherent. It means you have to have agile processes, yeah, with which you are able to learn fast, with which you are able to kind of correct them or change them, and which enable you to grow. Yeah, so being a 40-year-old software company, which is having a strong process portfolio, for us it was really clear to say we need new processes, and we built them from scratch to support our cloud business. Yeah, really important. The third transformation project is technological transformation. Well, we switched from waterfall to agile a long time ago, but topics like continuous delivery, seamless upgrades, multi-tenant versus single instance, dynamic scaling were and still are big topics for us. Yeah, so we have multi-tenant, single instance architecture. We support continuous delivery and seamless upgrades, which means a customer which is on our cloud product will log on the next day. We might have a new version deployed. He will see that there are new capabilities, but he will still feel familiar in the user interface. Really important for us. The last transformation, and for me the most important one, is the cultural transformation. Because the most important word in software as a service is not software, it is service. And it's really important to establish a customer success unit which ensures that customers understand why they need the product, how to use it, and how to get value out of it. Because otherwise the customer won't grow. They won't increase their footprint. They won't bring new users onto the system. So customers are empowered more than ever before based on cloud computing, because it's easy for them to kind of switch to another system. So for us, I believe this was quite a big change. Yeah, to put that effort on customer relations, being a technology company. Yeah, but if I see the success of our cloud product lines, I must say it worked out rather well. But that was also because it was not just this one transformation project, but 4 major transformation projects working together. So we launched quite a few cloud products in the last years. I just want to go over them very briefly. There's a product called AWS Cloud, which some of you probably know. It supports process improvement as a service. You'll see that product live in a few minutes. We got Alphabet Cloud for IT portfolio management. You will also see a glance of that product in a few minutes live. We also got products for agile application development in the cloud. We got an integration product in the cloud based on Web Methods. You might know Web Methods Integration Server. So there's now also a cloud-based product for that. And brand new is Web Methods API Cloud, which is a portal as a service for API development and publishing. So let me focus a bit on AWS Cloud. So in a cloud context, people like AWS Cloud because they can analyze which cloud services the business is using. So it's a collaborative process improvement environment where it's easy to onboard people, it's easy to describe processes in a collaborative manner, and you can give the task to your business analysts. Please tell us which cloud services you are using for which processes and which capabilities are really key for that. They can run impact analysis, which means they can analyze which processes won't perform if that cloud service is not available. And they can derive a process strategy, so which processes should be supported by cloud services and which shouldn't. So a typical example is core and context. So some companies say, well, context processes like finance, like HR, can be completely outsourced to the cloud, while core processes we maybe keep on-premise. Another major reason why companies like the product might be scary for the IT folks in that webcast. So I spoke to a customer, and that customer really said, I like AWS Cloud because I could run my project immediately. IT involvement was not required. Well, obviously, business is really happy that they can now choose the tool of choice to solve a problem. However, for IT, that becomes a nightmare because that shadow IT is hardly to be managed. Very, very difficult. Yeah, and what I'm seeing all over the place is actually things like the quote down here. Well, we expense the subscription cost as a team dinner. So very often, business departments use a departmental credit card, subscribe to a cloud service, use it for half a year, and then tell IT, well, by the way, we got the cloud service. Please make sure that it's part of our IT portfolio because we now use it. We got all the content in that. And then IT obviously is having a hard time to integrate it because very often there's not a good connection from business or from IT to business. Okay, so for the IT side, it's important to understand which applications are being used, which technologies are in-house, which devices are being used. They are talking about bring your own devices. They need to understand which capabilities does the business need for which processes, which strategies are in place, which are the demands of the business. On the project side, the IT side needs to be able to manage their transformation projects, to define roadmaps, to assess skills. And obviously on the financial and risk side, risks need to be transparent, yeah? Especially talking about data, yeah? So you need to understand which data objects do you store on the cloud, which on-premise. If auditors are coming in, you need to have that described somewhere, also your data security policies. You need to be able to prove which regulations you comply with, like Basel II or Solvency II. That's a very important thing. If you can't do that, really bad. Obviously, budgets need to be monitored as well. So, with that, I'd like to go into the business transformation workshop part of the presentation. So next, you see the things I talked about live. Yeah, if you would have been at the roadshow event, that would have been a section where you were able to participate, to give comments, to kind of discuss with us what's essential to your business, and so forth. So let's start with that process innovation I talked about in the beginning. So what you can see here is the Blockbuster process for renting the movie. So I'm back with the Blockbuster example. To rent a movie, you had to go to a video store. If you were happy the store was open, you start searching for the movie. You had to show your ID card, which was always not very nice after a few years. If the card was available, you rented a movie, then you went back home, watched the movie, had to drive back, dropped the movie off. If the store was closed, you had bad luck, you had to go back the next day to pay the rental fee. So quite some effort to watch a movie. And as I said, yeah, there was the case that the movie was sold out. Yeah, if you tell that to your 10-year-old kids at home that the movie is sold out, they would say, well, how can it be sold out? It's streaming. So Netflix introduced a process which looks like that. Yeah, you wanted to watch a movie, you access Netflix on an Apple TV or Amazon Fire TV stick or on your tablet or mobile or wherever. And you watch the movie and it's done. Yeah, really fast, really simple. What is interesting here is that although the Netflix process is completely automated, completely digitized, there are way more customer touch points than the process of Blockbuster had. Yeah, so based on all the behaviors you are showing to Netflix over the course of time, you get the right recommendations. It's way more personal. Yeah, so it's a best practice to build a personal business based on new technologies. And this leads Netflix this leads actually every company to the question, how can I provide a better customer experience, a better customer service to my customers. And it's actually really hard if you don't know your processes, because if you don't know which customer touchpoints exist, with which a customer can interact with my business, and starting from those touchpoints, how do the processes look like? Yeah, following up on those touch points, and what are the service levels? Who's taking care of those processes? If you have no idea how that looks like, it's very hard to create a good customer experience. It's nearly impossible. So it's important to get a clear picture. How do your customer journeys look like? What are the customer touch points? Where are possible risks? And very importantly, also, where are the emotions attached? So what are moments of truth where your business can succeed or fail? And that's what I would like to show to you in Aris Cloud live. So give me a second to share my screen. Share application. Here we go. All right. So you see now Aris Cloud, the process portal. So you see a few shortcuts where you can create models, find people, start discussions, and so forth. On the right side, you see an activity stream where people collaborate. And we see that there are two personas. There's one person, Bob Business, and there's another person called Sophie Customer. And we see that Bob Business invited Sophie Customer to improve customer journeys, because Sophie Customer made a bad experience here and was invited to an improvement project. So in the next demo steps, I'll show you how you can define a customer journey in Aris Cloud, and at the end I'll give you a little sneak preview on new methodologies we just released to ease the design of customer journeys. So what you can see on that page is an online product ordering process where we have two pools. One is customer, one is business. That's some BPMN collaboration diagram. We see that between those two pools we got interactions. So the business is providing product information to the customer, then a customer is placing an order, and so forth. The blue envelopes are the touch points. We got moments of truth, which are really important because emotions are attached here. And we see also where the customer needs to be informed. So let's see how the collaboration is going on here. We see that Bob invited Sophie and is asking Sophie for feedback. And Sophie is saying, well, Bob, to be honest, in the past I had problems with my goods delivery. So that's obviously that moment of truth. Let's specify the customer journey a bit more that we can solve the problem. And Bob is saying, okay, let's do that. Obviously, just having an envelope here doesn't really help us to identify the problem. So we'll specify that a bit more. And now we see already a really detailed view on the customer journey. We see that business is now broken down into support, billing, and sales. The customer part is also specified. We see where typical waiting times are. What is important is that we see that we got moments of truth, positive ones and negative ones. And what is interesting here to see is that the business moment of truth in the goods delivery, that's where Sophie had a problem, is if the order was fulfilled. So if the order from Sophie was shipped out of the warehouse. However, the customer moment of truth is a bit later. Yeah, it is after she tested the product, and that's not good. So if the business moment of truth and the customer moment of truth is in different areas of the process, the chance is very high that things break, that things don't work. Yeah, and again, we'll have a look in the collaboration, and we see that Sophie is saying, that is better, but I still don't know if the goods are really delivered. It might be your moment of truth, but not the customer's. Yeah? So it seems that Sophie got the wrong product, or the product not get in time, and that's where she got frustrated. So Bob Business is going ahead and is specifying that attribute a bit more. And again, I'll show that here. You see, there is now a new box added, which is specifying the third-party delivery. Yeah, and we introduced something like or a new service called Send Delivery Confirmation. Yeah, so after we get the customer signature, we get a delivery notification. And if that delivery notification is good, that's positive. Yeah, for us, it's the business moment of truth. If there is a failure, then we get a negative moment of truth. So here we need to fix the problem ASAP, get in touch with the customer, and so forth. So you could build your own service here, your own IT system, to get such a delivery notification. However, many services are out there, cloud services, which are providing exactly that. Yeah, they're interlinked with DHL and UPS and you name it, and you just subscribe to a service to get a delivery notification. Yeah, obviously that would be an IT service, and it is specified here. Yeah, you see. Send delivery notification. We get delivery notification message. We see that there is here an information attribute, the information carrier, goods received, and here we see that there is an application system type, order platform. So business could easily say, well, I'm using that object, put it here on send delivery confirmation. I know that's an application system type, so it's IT, it's documented here. Yeah, and with that, having it documented on the business side in the process, we can now bring that over to Alphabet to get the integration with the IT side done. So let me log in on the Alphabet side. I always get a timeout. And we see order platform 1.1. That's exactly the object which was described in errors already, and we see now that it's being more specified, the platform architecture, the application costs, the technology roadmap, dependencies, application diagrams, all those things. They are here on top. You see there are way more views, but I'm not going to detail because here the Alphabet part will connect. But the nice thing is it was specified on errors on the business side, and IT is being informed and can now put that in their portfolio planning. I said I'd like to show you one more model or model type which we introduced at Innovation World a month ago in Las Vegas. It is a very simple model to let me hide that, describe customer journeys or to run customer journey workshops. Yeah, so you see the different customer journey steps. You see which touch points are allocated, who's the owner, what's the input, what's the output, what's the KPI, what's the possible risk, and where are emotions attached. Yeah, and it looks very simple, but just imagine, yeah, you do a workshop, bring a customer on site, put that on a blank screen, and then work with the customer to understand which steps went he through, what were the touch points he was interacting with, or what was the input data, what was the output, linking that also to master data management and so forth. So that can be indeed very powerful. So with that, I'd like to go back to my presentation and give a short summary of what we have done so far. So we're talking about customer journeys and touch points They were linked to end-to-end processes in the system, procure to pay, order to cash, plan to inventory, and so forth. Those are obviously, again, linked to business capabilities and core processes of the business. So the business side is manageable, is plannable. We call that business transformation. Obviously, it's also important to integrate this view now with the IT side, the IT capabilities and IT services. So to start the IT transformation. And if you bring both words together, this is what we call digital transformation. And with that, I'd like to hand over the presenter rights to David Feary, who will show us what the IT side would now do with the information we just provided.
Okay, Jörg, thanks a lot for that fascinating insight to how the cloud is changing business models and how we need to understand customer journeys and processes to actually get a handle on this. What I'd like to do now is take the other perspective, and the perspective of the CIO and the CIO office, and how he has to manage this cloud transformation. And to start with, what I'd just like to do is just give a quick insight in how we support that with Alphabet, the cloud-based or on-premise-based solution for IT portfolio management. With Alphabet, what we provide the CIO and his team with are two things. Firstly, we provide him with, I'm a bit quick on the finger there. Firstly, we provide him with a set of core capabilities with which he needs, and the CIO office and his team needs, to be able to manage transformation, to be able to understand the state of IT, things such as foundational enterprise architecture with application portfolio management, technology portfolio management, but also things like business strategic planning, where we get an understanding of what are the changes in the business model, what new business capabilities are coming along, what are the priorities and strategy. These two things are actually brought together using business relationship management and IT planning capabilities, which bring us to a target architecture and things like project portfolio governance for prioritization, all based on IT financial and risk management capabilities, which help us to make grounded decisions on the different options and scenarios that we have. The important thing about these integrated capabilities is that they, sorry about that, is that they, that's what I meant to hit, is that they integrate also the different silos in IT. They integrate the teams. This is a platform that supports multi-users, very scalable with role-based access, so that each player in this portfolio management approach has the functions, features, and data that they need. And this helps the different roadmaps to be coordinated and conflicts and errors to be avoided. What I'd like to do is now put this into the perspective of cloud transformation and the 3 steps that we see for supporting a successful cloud transformation. The first one is creating the foundation. And I would take a look at this to say, what's the basic data that we need? What's the basic things that we need to be able to manage cloud transformation? The second one is strategy and plan. How do we come up with a cloud strategy? What sort of things help us place our cloud strategy for the different parts of the organization, and also to plan the change to that strategy? And thirdly, I'd like to look at the issue of prioritization, because the things that we're doing in the cloud are not the only things that are going on. There are also important business transformation projects, IT upgrade projects, and many other demands, and we need to put our cloud activities in within the context of these things that are also going on. So let's start with the first issue, creating the foundation. And to create the foundation, basically we're talking about having an inventory of technologies and applications, about doing the basic portfolio management of the things that we have in IT that could be cloud sourced or could be on-premise. Or could be hybrid. There could be different types of solutions. But we need to know what we've got. If we don't know this basic information, then how are we going to manage the transformation? For this purpose, we need to inventorize it with the information about whether they're cloud sourced, but also to map the technologies and applications to each other. And this helps us in a cloud context. If we decide to move a part of a technology stack of a certain application to Amazon Web Services, which we would do. It's one of the leading, it is the leading vendor in this market, and it's also moving infrastructure to things such as Amazon Web Services is a very quick and efficient way of moving to the cloud and getting the benefits of things like elasticity and cost reduction. If we decide to do this for a certain application, then maybe we want to, at that time, understand what other applications are using exactly the same sort of technologies to see whether we could move those things to this technology stack in the cloud as well. And vice versa, if we move an application to software as a service, we want to understand, do we need the stack that we've had on-premise to date anymore? Are there other things that are using it? And the last piece of information that's very important to have is actually lifecycle information, that we plan the lifecycle information of the technologies and applications so that we know in the organization, maybe a project manager, when he's planning to deliver a new solution in 2 years, that when he gets down the line and delivers that we're still intending to use a certain technology, or that at that point in time have decided to move that to the cloud, and so we need a different type of integration, and we need to consider that. These 4 basic pieces of information help us to create the sort of graphic that we see here on the left, where we see the percentage of clouds, applications in the cloud, starting with 6% today, and moving to about 11% in October 2018, and split by the type of application we have. Is it infrastructure as a service, which most of them in this are, they're red, or software as a service, the blue, or some other option? And with this, we have the basic data to basically understand where we are and to do some basic planning of where we want to get to. For the next part, where we talk about looking at the strategy and plan and looking at prioritization, I'd like to move over to a demo and show you the Alphabet product in action. So with that, I'll just share my browser and hope that you can see this. And what I'll do is just log on. And as I said, it's a multi-user solution. So what we do here is logging on with a user that has a broad scope of what he sees. This can be restricted to a narrow scope. Oops, oh, I'm sorry about that. I'll just do that again. So what we have here is a basic entry panel, and this is usually customized to match the user's look and feel. What users can also do is create dashboards which helps them to show certain stories, to put functions together that they need quite often. In this case, I've done it to create the story that we're talking about today, about the cloud transformation. We've talked about the create the foundation. So what I want to do now is look at the issue of strategy and plan. So I'll drill down into this and start to talk about the issue of how do we put the things that we're doing in IT in the context of the business. Because to have a cloud strategy, we need to have a cloud strategy which is aligned to what business is doing. Yeah, we need to have a cloud strategy that provides elasticity where the business needs elasticity. And to do that, we need a structure to understand the business. And one of the best ways to do this is actually business capabilities. And so what I'd do is just have a look at the business capabilities of this enterprise. We have the top level capabilities. This is usually between 5 and 8. Keep it simple in this case at the highest level. Here we have 6. And basically, we have things like corporate management capabilities, market development, which is sales and marketing, product development, which is the strategic decision on the portfolio of services and products I want to deliver to the market. Delivery is the capabilities that actually bring those to the market. And support and services are things like internal things like human resources and IT. And oversight, GRC, risk management, these sort of things. When we break these capabilities down further, we break them down to units that are capsuled. So if we take one more look further down, we see things like contact management, under market development, or market analysis. And with this, we get a picture of our organization. And what I'd like to do now is look at how these can be used to give us some insight into the cloud transformation project. So I'll click to a different dashboard. Just fill the screen with this. And what we have here at the top is actually a business capability map. And I'll just talk about that in a couple of minutes. I just want to start off by looking at a couple of other pictures, reports actually, which are in this dashboard. The one on the left at the bottom here we've already seen. This is a percentage of cloud applications, which we get from our foundational data. This one, this portfolio chart, I'd like to look at in more detail. This is actually a portfolio of business capabilities. So what we do here is if we mouse over one of these, we see this is a business capability for product success analysis. What we've done is a business assessment of these capabilities, because this helps us to understand what strategy we need to fulfill business needs for the certain capabilities from an IT perspective. And what we've done is assess the capabilities dependent on One, differentiation. And differentiation is saying, okay, does this capability help me beat the competitors in the market? Is it something that I need to be good at to win? And the reason we've done this from a cloud perspective is that the things that we need to be good at to beat the competitor are the things we can't often change. We need to tweak them. We need to keep upgrading them depending on what's going on in the market. We need to be agile and flexible. And this means that something like software as a service is not a good solution for these sort of capabilities. Because these tend to be more standard processes that we can tweak a little, but they're not really things where we have full control of the business logic. And really, with software as a service, we're just trying to do the lower the cost and standardize the process. So for things that are differentiating, they're not the best. That is not the best approach. The other thing we've done is look at data sensitivity, because the less sensitive the data, the less likely we'd be concerned with moving the capability and the application supporting that capability out to the cloud. So based on this, we can come up with a suggestion of a norm strategy. That means the capabilities here that are at the top, high differentiating and high data sensitive, we're most likely to want to keep on premise initially, such as product success analysis. Whereas the things here at the bottom, which has low differentiation and lower data sensitive, we'd probably feel happier to move to the cloud quickly, to save money and to move our focus away from these things to the more strategic things. So something like office and location management. And what we see with this is that our cloud strategy is not a one-size-fits-all. Our cloud strategy is really, depending on the area of the business, could be different. And that's why we do this sort of capability analysis and assessment. So I'll move back and look at the capability map now. And this gives us some context with how the business capabilities can help us fix our, understand our strategy and how we're fulfilling on that strategy. So I drew down into the capability map. And what we see in the capability map here, in the top of each column are the top-level capabilities. And below the top-level capabilities is a breakdown of those capabilities. Such as here, oversight, we break it down into regulatory compliance, corporate risk, quality management, etc. When we look at these capability maps, we add extra information. So we've added here 3 types of information. One is the size. So if we look at this capability here, customer management, this is a large capability, whereas the one below it, trading, is a smaller size. And this size is actually the size of the IT footprint. It's the number of applications. And this gives an indication, if we're doing cloud transformation, of what is the size of the problem that we're looking at behind that capability. What we also see here is a pie chart. And the pie chart in the corner is telling us how many of those applications are currently cloud sourced. So where we are at the moment here with customer management, about 2/3 of the applications are already cloud sourced. So this gives us an idea of the state of our cloud transformation for each of these capabilities. And the third thing we've added to this capability map is the color. So if we look at corporate planning here in green on the far right, this is green actually means software as a service. We've decided that that is the best strategy for this capability. Whereas if we look at market analysis, which is purple, this is on-premise for the strategy. And the thing about these capability maps is they help us to identify where we have conflict in the things that we have on the ground and the things we want in terms of our strategy. Because if we look at market analysis, the strategy here is actually on-premise. But if we look at this pie chart, what we see is that all the applications are currently in the cloud. So here we have a conflict. Either we've got the wrong strategy for market analysis, or we've got the wrong applications and we need to think about moving them. And this sort of conflict helps us to see the differentiation or the differences between our strategy and where we are today, and helps us then to plan moving forward what we need to change. What I'd like to do now is go back to the start dashboard for this story and move on to the issue of prioritization. Now with prioritization, we're really talking about basic project portfolio management. So if we scroll down in this dashboard here, what we see firstly is an overview here in this Gantt chart of the different projects, the life cycles of those projects as they're planned, and the milestones, which are in green and red, depending on whether they're critical or non-critical. And this is the portfolio of projects that's currently supporting the area of CRM and customer management. In terms of prioritization, some of these projects are cloud-based, cloud transformation. Some of them are not. But we need to have some sort of prioritization about which ones we can actually do depending on our budget, etc. And to do this, what we've done is two things. Firstly, if we look at this prioritization report now on the left, we see a list of the projects, and we've prioritized them with architecture impact, business value, strategic value, and use this to actually come up with a list, a priority list. Say these are the most important projects to us today, and this is the ones that we would prefer to do. And what we've done in this second report on the right, project costs, is said, okay, based on the budget, which one of those could we actually fulfill? And the ones we could fulfill are actually in white, and the ones we can't fulfill are in this orange color. And this tells us then, okay, based on our priority and our budget, this is what we could do today. And this is the starting point for discussion between the IT stakeholders and business stakeholders to say, okay, is this the right portfolio mix? If not, we do some scenario analysis. And this sort of scenario analysis is something we support with Alphabet. The important thing about doing this sort of project portfolio analysis and defining projects is that what we need to also understand is which of these projects is going to deliver a cloud solution and which one isn't. And this is supported in Alphabet because when we define the project, we define not just the project breakdown structure, the skills required and the business plan, we also relate it to the deliverables of that project. Saying, okay, what applications are you going to deliver? What technologies are going to be rolled out or phased out with this project? Which integration points are needed? And by doing this, we know, okay, this project is going to deliver a cloud solution and this one isn't. And that is useful because it will help us to understand in the future whether we're going to be meeting our cloud strategy goals. And we have an example here again in this capability at the map. If we look at this business capability, product capability definition, this one again is colored purple, which is the color for on-premise strategy. What we see is there's a project overlaid called CRM Analytics, which has a little cloud symbol on it. And this cloud symbol tells us that this project is delivering a cloud solution. So we have a conflict here. We have an on-premise strategy and a project that's coming along delivering a cloud solution. This gives us a point to go to that project and discuss why this is happening and see whether it's actually a conscious decision to go against a strategy that's been justified or whether it's something that's needs to be changed. But by doing so, we align our future landscape with our cloud strategy. So with that, I would like to then go back to the presentation and just summarize again what we've talked about and seen in the demonstration with Alphabet. We have the 3 steps: create the foundation, strategize and plan, and prioritize, which helps us to understand where we are, to set a strategy of where we want to get to with cloud transformation, and to also to make sure that we stay with our projects aligned to that transformation. If we do these type of things, then we get many benefits. 1, with the business capabilities, we align business and IT. 2, with foundational information, we gain the transparency and control we need to manage IT and transform IT. And this gives us the ability to be successful and manage transformation. And this is for cloud transformation or also for other types of cloud transformation, such as digitization. And further, because we see the redundancy, we also reduce the complexity and cost. And this is something that a customer of ours, Credit Suisse, has done. They've reduced their cost by 11 million a year, software and project costs, just by getting rid of that redundancy. So with that, I'd like to close this IT transformation workshop. And I'd like to close by encouraging you to start this cloud journey today, because this is something that's going to help you keep ahead of your competition. And if you want to know more about the sort of solutions that we offer to help you on that journey, then use this link to find out more about the solutions we have. With that, I'd like to thank you for attending the webinar from my side and just say I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'd like to hand it back to Jörg for a closing statement from his side.
Thank you, David. So I hope this was a good, interesting information for you. It's a shame that you couldn't see us live on stage doing the workshops more interactively. However, I hope that this was a nice summary, a nice roundup, and even if you could not participate, that you somehow got a feeling what we've done at the show. So with that, have a great day, and thank you for being with us. Bye-bye.